Hi, I am home for lunch right now. Originally, I didn't really plan on making this talk-through video because I wasn't really thinking about whether I wanted to provide an explanation, but earlier while I was driving home from work, I was trying to record a regular vlog style, and I realized I started talking a little bit more about my complaints for Battle for Azeroth, and figured it would just make sense for me to just create a whole WoW related video talking about my thoughts and see if people can totally understand where I'm coming from. So quick disclaimer, if you really like Blizzard as a developer, I feel like it might not be good for you to watch this video because I am extremely anti-Blizzard. I don't like them at all. I feel like they just make extremely poor choices with their games or their mentality in regards to how they want to design things. And just in general though, they pretty much design their games for casual players nowadays, and that by itself already makes it very, very difficult for me to take them seriously and feel like they are going to make positive changes to the game. I'm not going to try to filter myself when it comes to talking about them, so if you really like them as a developer, it might not be good to listen to me because I will kind of insult the shit out of them whenever I can. Okay, let me take a bite out of this. So last night I canceled my subscription, and it's mainly because I haven't been enjoying the game recently, and the Blizzard stuff as well. Like, I don't respect them as a company. I think they are pretty awful, and I have disliked them for many, many years now. I definitely say 7 years now. I think that they're crap, but they are just a company where you can tell they don't really care about you. They don't give any fucks because they just continue to release bugged, broken content that has been reported on the forums for months, and they don't test their stuff. Or even if they test it, they let it go through to production. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Even when I'm trying to do something super basic at work, and let me just say that me personally as a person, I'm not the type of person that needs to be influential, or I don't have to feel like I'm a part of something for work. My requirements for work is just as long as I'm happy, I don't really care what the hell I'm doing. So at least for work, anytime I put out a product, even for me, a lowly person, like a random person, if I ever put out something that somebody else uses, or if it affects somebody else, I want to make sure that their experience is a positive one, right? But Blizzard, they put out buggy content, or they don't fix their bugs, and it's basically saying, like, we don't care how your experience is with our game. We're only going to fix the stuff that makes us money. So, for example, Upper Karazhan, the last boss, was bugged for weeks before Battle for Azeroth came out, and that is an extremely important bug, in my opinion, that you would want to fix, because people would spend 25 minutes doing Upper Karazhan and then they wouldn't make it on time because of your stupid fucking bug. So that is very, very game changing to me. That's basically saying, like, we don't value your time. Time is very precious. Let me just say that. I hope people understand that your time is very valuable. So you don't want to spend it on things where you're not happy, or you're not feeling productive, or you feel like other people aren't taking it seriously. That aspect of playing this game has been very frustrating for me because, you know, since Battle for Azeroth came out, there have been still a lot of broken shit, a lot of downtime for servers. Honestly, that part I don't care as much about because that is just like, oh, I can't play temporarily, whatever. It's been hard. I think it's a combination of the people I'm playing with, Blizzard, their mechanics, and like all of their gameplay stuff. So my first biggest issue with the game right now is with the Heart of Azeroth, because I despised the artifact power system in Legion, and I thought that they heard back from people that people hated that, so they made it seem like they were, you know, shelving the idea, but then they introduced another form of artifact grinding. So my big issue with the artifact power is it makes a competitive person like me feel like I need to live in the game, where I'm constantly doing artifact powered world quests or reputation grinds like Champions of Azeroth, just to make sure you obtain everything that will boost your character. But the problem with that is it's just such a stupid system, because people that don't play day one and people that don't have no life, people that work, people that want to do other things with their life, they will fall behind, and then that will kind of ruin their gameplay, because people in the game just start placing restrictions on groups and stuff. It just, a system like that just makes you feel like you need to constantly be playing. And World Quests is a terrible, terrible, terrible concept. I hate it. I was fine with dailies back then because they were in a small hub, a little area. You just grab a bunch of quests, you do them all, and then you turn them all in, and that's fine. But these, you have to like travel, you have to fucking fly over their ugly ass game. It's just a chore. It's so tedious. Who wants to do world quests? Nobody. So me, the past few days, I haven't touched world quests at all. My Champions of Azeroth reputation is the same, hasn't moved at all. I'm like halfway into Honored, but I don't care, because those are aspects of the game I really, really dislike to do, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm the type of person where if there's something I really don't like to do, even though at times it might be good for me, I'm still not gonna do it, because my motivation for doing it isn't there. So even if I were to do it, I wouldn't put full effort into it, and I don't like doing something if I'm not doing my best, right? The whole world quest grind is really stupid. It doesn't make you feel good at all to do. So I haven't been doing those. And then the reputation grind, like I said, Champions of Azeroth. What the fuck? You have to grind nonstop after you hit 120 just to like get ahead of the game, making sure your neck item level is up to par with everyone. Hate that also. And then expeditions is not a new concept. I love how they come up with these new ideas. They put them in the game and they name them something different. Island expeditions. This is some new idea we came up with. But no, it's not a new idea, because this one is killing mobs and looting stuff, which is essentially questing on this expedition. The only small difference is you have 3 stupid horde NPCs that occasionally come kill you. And it is such a boring concept. Doing expeditions is so stupid, but that's something that you would have to do if you want to play the game, because it gives you 2500 AP, and if you don't do that, you are going to fall behind on the AP grind. Next, we have Warfronts, which I don't know anything about because I didn't bother reading it. I just knew automatically it was something I wouldn't like, because it's yet another thing you have to constantly grind for to be at the peak for your character. And all of this stuff, it's just way too much tediousness. People that have lives should not have to feel like they need to play this game nonstop. There's just way too much that you have to do that are mandatory every single day if you want to be competitive in the game. And they are really stupid things that you have to do. So I refuse to do any of that stuff. In Legion, I never even got the quest to do my Crucible. I never managed to make it onto the island for Seed of the Triumvirate. I never attuned to that dungeon because I didn't want to quest anymore, and they kept throwing shit for you to do to unlock. And I don't like any of that. It's not rewarding. It doesn't reward skill in any way. It rewards people who have all the time in the world and who don't have jobs and stuff. So all of those aspects of WoW, I really dislike, and that's pretty much the entire game. So let's move on to the people, because I have talked about this many times, so I apologize if I'm repetitive with this aspect, but I didn't entirely think it through. But with the start of a new expansion, there's going to be 1 billion new players, and those 1 billion new players will not know what the hell they are doing. And it is impossible to tell who is a good player and who isn't. One way that players try to restrict invitations for good players is eye level, which is a number that is not generated by skill, it's generated by luck. So that is one thing that I've been really hating, is that people are putting eye level restrictions that are like pretty high already because they think that that is an indicator of skill. And this mentality has been around for a very long time. And I think it's so pathetic how people are actually using a number that's generated from RNG to judge your skill. And when I say RNG, I'm talking about someone's luck with getting drops. That's where that number comes from. So that part is very stupid and annoying. And then another thing is that, and this is not even something to do with the current state of WoW, this has been happening for years now, but people just don't care if they are ignorant. And definitely, I have talked about this, but basically you can approach someone with a friendly way to criticize. I wouldn't say criticize, but if you just say like, hey, can you read the dungeon journal for this boss? Because last pull, you died to a mechanic that you just stupidly were unaware of. And if you tell them something like that in a friendly way, they still, most of the time, will not receive it well because people don't like to be wrong. And I know that this is not a new concept for everybody, that people don't like to be wrong. But in this game specifically right now, people are just content with being the way they are at that state in time. Like, they don't want to learn. Reading the dungeon journal is considered learning because you learn about stuff that you were unaware of and then you apply that to your gameplay. But some people just don't want to do that. They don't want to spend more effort in their life. They don't want to challenge themselves in their life. There's a lot of people in life who just coast. They stay static. They like this. Some people are in the same job for many years. They don't really care about a different role. They probably don't even care if their income doesn't increase that much. They are content with a 2% raise for inflation, and that's not really even considered a raise. A lot of people like that are probably the same type of people that play the game, where they don't care about the other people they are affecting their time by being ignorant. So they do a dungeon, they don't bother to learn the mechanics, and then later on, if they end up wanting to do Mythic Plus, that ignorance ends up affecting everybody else in the group because they die to something. They don't know a mechanic and they waste your time. So for example, there have been plenty of tanks that I have grouped up with in Shrine of the Storm that don't know the minor reinforcement ward that one of the mobs drops on the ground. And I believe it reduces their damage taken by a pretty high percent. It's like 70% or up. So they tank the mob in the fucking ward. And when I see tanks doing that, it makes me ballistic because think about how much time that wastes when they do that repetitively for that mob. And then later on, the boss has a similar mechanic, so they end up tanking the boss in the ward. And it's just unbelievable that people are comfortable being in a dumber state of mind when they can make themselves more intelligent by learning some of the mechanics. So I get very frustrated about that personality trait for a lot of people that play this game. After a while, it just doesn't seem worthwhile to play the game anymore because it wastes a lot of my time, because dungeon runs that should take less than 30 minutes end up taking double the time, even triple the time, because of people like this. And you can't change who they are. And you take a huge gamble whenever you make groups because you won't know ahead of time what the people will be like. So you spend a lot of time making the group, then you do the run. It can probably fail in 5 minutes, or you don't do the run in time. So right now in the beginning, I'm doing keys under 5, and it makes me sad to see us not do that on time, because 5 to me is when it starts getting challenging, but only slightly. Like if I played with good people, 5s are a breeze. There are so many different aspects of people that exhibit signs of mediocrity. So this week, apparently, if you do a key higher than 5, the item level gear you get doesn't get higher, right? So right now, a lot of people are farming 5s, and I hate that mentality because I've spoken to so many people, or I've seen in the discords where they're just doing 5s. So a couple times I would be whispering the random pubs on my friends list that they added me or I added them, and I would be asking them to do keys. And they would respond something like, are you farming 5s or what are you trying to do? And I would say like, no, I'm trying to do the highest key available at any time. And then they would tell me that the item level doesn't get higher past 5. But that to me just shows like, let me just do some easy shit because I don't get rewarded for challenging myself. And I can't stand it when people say that because I like to challenge myself. I actually don't care about gear in WoW at all. Honestly, I never look at loot tables. I don't look at what people get for drops. I don't ask to trade very often. So I understand that loot is very important for this game, obviously, but that stuff comes naturally. You do runs, you get loot. That's fine. I'm getting loot. I'm raising my eye level just by playing, but these people make it sound like if it doesn't reward me, why should I challenge myself? But I'm the type of person that I really always want to just challenge myself. Challenging content is fun. Easy shit is boring and it's mind-numbing and it makes you want to end your life. So, man, all of this surge of anger is just coming out. But yeah, I think I did for the most part cover everything about my complaints with the game because basically right now the game has been out for like 3 weeks, I think, and I am already behind because I'm not doing my World Quest dailies. So if I keep playing with the way I'm playing, it's gonna get worse and worse because I'm going to not be able to reach some of these item level requirements that people have. And people care so much about class also. And you know how a lot of people are saying like shadow priests are shit right now? I don't care. I don't focus on any of that. I did recently look at the Warcraft logs performance and we're actually like way down there and I was very surprised to see it, but I don't care because at least in dungeons, if I'm playing well, I'm never entirely at the bottom. I actually do pretty competitive damage. So I think people really need to focus more on their own play than just looking at freaking numbers and like saying, oh my god, my class is so bad, I need to re-roll. I did cancel my sub last night and I don't know when it's gonna go until. I do have some footage of Mythic Plus, but the reason I haven't been uploading them is because they aren't that high up. Normally, I don't really like to upload keys unless I feel like I'm proud of the run, mainly as in like it's a pretty high key, but I haven't done anything over 6. 6 I didn't do on time, 5 is the highest I've done on time, but I think maybe if people want to see them, I could upload them. I only have one key where I played Holy, which was yesterday. It was the 4 Temple of Sethralis, and I just remembered like how much I liked Holy again, but that one we didn't do on time, so that one really like disappointed me because we didn't actually wipe much. I think the DPS was actually just shit, which I didn't pay attention to. I was just surprised that we didn't die too much. So I have some keys, and if people are interested to see them, they will be 5 or less. I could definitely put them up just for reference, but from now on, until my sub ends, I'm not really sure how much I plan on playing because there's no positive feeling from playing. I'm just kind of saying that as a like, my WoW videos will 100% taper down. So all of the new subs that have recently subbed lately, I am sorry about that, but I'm not sorry at the same time because WoW is not a game that I have respected in a very long time, and I already knew ahead of time that it's not something that I would have played for very long, so I just thought of something. They did mention vanilla WoW, right? So when that comes out, depending on how it is structured, I will absolutely try that out because that was the last time the game was amazing. Well, BC and Wrath I thought were very good, but I am not confident though, because, you know, their current mentality is so skewed compared to what it was back then that they can't recreate that feel, I don't think. And I don't trust their decision making. So when it comes out, I will definitely try it out, but I just don't feel optimistic about the timeline. I feel like it's gonna take forever, or I wasn't even trusting of them that it would be a reality. But it was a pretty cool announcement. WoW was a game I really, really loved for many years, but now it has just become an embarrassment. And honestly, whenever I'm talking with Shane about it, we both just shit on the game so hard. All right, I think that is all I have on this topic, and hopefully people can understand where I'm coming from, even though I know some aspects of it might sound elitist, especially when it comes to the people and their mentality and skill combination. I know I have always projected myself as someone who expects very high standards from other people when it comes to skill in video games, but it's just something that's very difficult for me to change. I like competition. I really like winning. I like pushing myself and challenging myself. So naturally, I kind of expect that from everyone that I play with. And if they don't meet a certain criteria, then it becomes very stressful for me to play with them. So I know that limits like a lot of people that I play with, but I'm trying to work on it to a reasonable level. And when it comes to WoW, there's just such a minority that reaches it. And it's not even just about like mentality and play sometimes, it's even about like maturity, right? A lot of people in the game are not mature, and that is another thing that makes it difficult to be around them, because even my recent guild hunting, it disappointed the hell out of me. So there's just so many things against me when I try to involve myself in WoW that I don't feel it is worth it anymore. So yes, that is how I will leave it, and thank you for listening to my rant.